All right. Welcome, everyone. Coffee with the Captain and Boom Squad is here. I'm Yasser Hatab, your host from the Northeast. And we're going to talk about the North and the South now, right? So we got Northeast host and we got the Southeast host. Who do
Right.
we have with us?
Hey guys, Mamadou Diallo, live in Atlanta, as you guys know. So today we're going to have a very, very special topic that you guys are gonna enjoy. So excited
Love
about
it.
it.
Love it. Love it. Yeah. So last week we talked about Mamadou, we've been busy, bro.
Yeah,
We got a
100%.
lot going on, right? So last week we talked about the finding where to, obviously we talked about where to find these people and
Right,
going through foreclosure
right,
and essentially getting in front of the door, literally and figuratively, right?
right,
Knocking on the door, we talked about it. Andrew touched on door knocking along with myself, and then Stephen brought in the whole cold calling aspect of things.
right,
And essentially, we talked about leading with value, right?
right,
We
right.
don't knock on doors and say we buy houses. So this week we want to talk to you about what happens after all those FUs and all those no's and all those we got it taken care of and all those non, the no. You get that one yes,
Right,
and then you start what? Pooping your pants, right? You start pooping your pants. You're like, wait, someone said yes. And
right,
Mama, we deal with a lot of new people, and I'm pretty sure you get this a lot where they're like, oh my God, the person said yes. What do I do now, Mama? What do I do? Right. So that's what today was all about. All right. And obviously we're gonna be talking about a couple of things. We're gonna be throwing some numbers together, so that we can kind of give you a quick and down and dirty way of deciding if this is a deal or not
right,
and what to do with it. All right.
right, right,
So, with that being said, what we're going to be doing is working on some ones that we actually worked on recently. It's fresh in the mind. I
right.
think just no holds bar and let's just get down to it. All right. So,
Yes, sir.
do you want to start first, brother, or do you want me to start
No,
first?
I'll let you start since you're gonna be showing them the whiteboard, guys. So I'm gonna buy a fancy,
Oh,
what do you have? The
iPad Pro,
iPad,
bro.
the Pro
iPad.
iPad. I'm gonna buy one because people are visual people. So we want to show you guys with live deals that we actually just closed on or about to close, so that also you guys know we're not just some guru sitting here online talking. Our HUD is always gonna be a week old. Trust me. Nothing
Mm,
more than that. Is a lot of fakes in this
yep.
group, and please don't get offended when I say fake. If you are, then get offended, okay? But so we're gonna share the screen. He's gonna break down the deal. I think you already closed on it, right?
No, we're getting we got this one on the contract actually.
Oh,
So
fantastic. Okay.
yeah, we're
So
gonna be
yeah, so typically that's the panic mode when seller says yes because you're not expecting it, and now you don't know where to take it. Now, one thing I'm gonna tell you guys right out the gate, what you're gonna see Yasser doing, Mr. Captain here, is almost like we call this napkin underwriting. Any deal, guys, any deal that you cannot underwrite, take a blank piece of paper. If you need an Excel sheet to underwrite the numbers, is not a deal. What I mean, I said need, not want. Is a difference between, oh, I just like using spreadsheets. That's not what I mean. What I mean is the deal, in order to see if it's a deal, you have to be able to take a little napkin and write the numbers down on it and see, oh yeah, this deal makes sense. Then move on it. If it's too complicated, if you have to force the numbers, if you have to come up with all this like crazy, maybe, potential, blah, blah, blah. One thing yesterday, I was learning from Warren Buffett. He said he never buys a deal based on what it could be in 12 months.
yes. Amen
Never.
to that, brother. Amen to
Exactly. So it's the same thing in real estate. You buying the deal for what it is now. What can I do with it now with data? So does the numbers justify my purchase price that I'm buying it at right now? And can I do something with it now based on what it is now, not based on what it could be in 12 months or whatever the case may be? Because now you're gambling, right? We're not in Vegas, we're in real estate. So this one, I'm going to enjoy this one. We're going to show you guys what the entry fee look like and all of that. So let's
love
go,
it. I
Mr.
love it. I love it. So, before we get into the entry fees, there's two things. There's actually five things that you really want to take a look at. All right. If you want to write this down, all right, my team writes it down as COSPT right? We're very big on acronyms. Any airline pilots, any people in
I know,
uniform,
right?
we love our acronyms. If you're a military person, you know
Same.
exactly what I'm talking about. Acronym to death, right? So COSPT, condition, occupancy, all right? S is situation or motivation, right? P is price, T is timeline, all right? COSPT. And those are the 5 pillars that qualify our lead to determine if it is a hot lead or even a warm lead, all right? And our job as people working foreclosures or even acquisitions is to determine if it makes sense, right? Mamadou, you want to go buy a car,
Right.
okay? You want to buy a car. Is it because you need it or you want it?
80% of the time is because I want
Okay.
it.
And so that want, if you fit it into the COSPT, is the motivation part, right? The
Right.
situation. So people do things. We're humans, guys. So we do things because we are motivated to do
Right.
them. All right.
Right.
So if a seller doesn't have motivation to do anything,
Right.
then I don't care if it's the best numbers on the planet. There's no motivation, no deal.
No
Right.
deal. 100%.
Two, timeline. All right. Is the most important 2 things out of the 5, right? The other ones matter too, but we need to make sure that the timeline makes sense. So if
Right.
there's motivation, but oh yeah, I have to sell because I have a foreclosure and this and this and that, and then all of a sudden, oh, but the auction is in 6 months, and I'll worry about it then you kind of really are dragging their feet, right? They're
Right.
dragging their feet. So the timeline is very important here. And
Right.
typically what I teach my team and my students is timeline should be less than 3 months.
Right.
The
Yes.
shorter, the better. Okay.
Yes. 100%.
Because they are motivated. If the auction is next week,
Right.
they're very motivated,
Yeah.
right? So
Everyone
after
else is
that,
a follow-up.
everything else is, yeah, exactly. So just wanted to point that out before we start jumping into some numbers. So I'm gonna start sharing my handy dandy screen here, all right? And it's the most elaborate screen ever. It's an iPad screen.
You know, right?
So
And
with that
guys,
being said,
remember, this is not going to be a cookie cutter type of thing. You're going to have to look at things based on the deal, right? Based on the deal, the situation, the numbers is there. So every deal you're going to get with pre-foreclosures is going to be completely different. What I mean by some deals, the seller is getting money, some they're not getting it, some they owe a lot of money, some they don't. Some of them they're underwater, some they don't. So the numbers, let the numbers speak for itself. So every deal is going to be different the way you underwrite it. But as far as what Yasser is going to go over, what we call the entry fee, especially in creative finance. Yasser, what do you find when you get in deals in pre-foreclosure? Do you find that the majority of deals are creative finance or cash? Like if you had to put them on a scale.
if I had to put them on a scale, I'd say percentage wise, I'd say 80%, 70 to 80% sub 2.
Right.
Creative finance because you're
Right.
solving a pain,
Right.
right? And sub 2 works, creative finance works really well with pain.
Right.
That hey, I need to stop the foreclosure. I need the
Mm-hmm.
arrears to be caught up.
Mm-hmm.
But then, you also have the other aspect that sometimes it makes sense as a cash deal, you know?
Absolutely, absolutely.
So,
No, the reason I'm asking the question is because so that they understand why we started with this. Okay, guys. So if 70 to 80% of deals are going to be subject to deals, this is when you take over the underlying mortgage of the seller, they leave it on their name, and you take over responsibility of the monthly payments, right? Most deals, that's the only kind of transaction that makes sense because they're underwater, they owe way too much for you to buy it on cash. So when you're looking at creative finance deals, guys, what we do is underwriting. We don't comp creative finance deals. When it
right,
comes to cash, if the deal makes sense, like right now, the fix and flip we're currently doing was a pre-foreclosure. Guess what we're doing? What we did, I mean, when we were buying it, we comped it. Why did we
yeah,
comp it? Because the seller had a lot of equity, right? They owed about 130 and the property is worth like 375, right? So it's a lot of equity. So we didn't, we could have bought it cash. It would have still been a deal.
right.
So creative finance, underwriting, cash deals, comping. So right now we're starting
Love
with
it.
underwriting. So underwriting here, we're going to focus on a creative finance deal. And
I
then
love
later on, we're going to show you guys how to come. So on the next episode, look out for it. We'll show you guys how to come, or maybe on this one. I don't know.
it.
If you guys are finished on this one, we can show you guys how to comp really quick for free on Zillow. Like it's so quick. It's easy to
Love it.
comp properties.
Love it.
But let's go, bro. I just wanted to show them that extension.
Awesome. Awesome. Sounds great. Yeah. Um, so you get into a deal, you're looking at how much, as a buyer, you're looking at how much am I going to come out of pocket to buy the deal.
Right.
That's what it comes down to. A lot of people think, oh, it's just cash to seller, that's it. It's a lot of other factors that play into it. And that's why we're going to break this sucker down and get going. All right. So here's my screen and let's get to it. So typically there's a couple of things that factor into how much money you need to come out of pocket. All right. The first one that we're going to talk about is you're actually, we call it the due diligence. All right. So due diligence is your inspection. You have to pay someone to go walk the property, an engineer to come, let's say the property has issues and you want to bring in an engineer. That stuff costs money, guys. Sometimes it costs $200, sometimes it costs $5,000. It really depends on who you're bringing in. But the due diligence is all about the inspections, right? Making sure that whatever we are getting into, we're not going to get screwed with it. Okay. So 2 is cash to seller. And I'm going to put it as CTS, cash to seller, or AKA down payment. Okay. And excuse my handwriting. I should have been a doctor, not a pilot, but hey, that's what it is. All right. This is the money, the cold hard cash that the seller is going to get in their pocket once we close on a deal. And and it's not cash. All right. We're not the mafia guys. Like it's the back in the days showing up to closing table with a suitcase full of cash. Title companies and closing attorneys don't work with that anymore, right? It's not the mafia days. So, so it's usually a check, pretty much, that is written out by the title company that's handling this situation. This is me and Mamadou's favorite part, right? And it's arrears, right?
Yes.
And this is mortgage, right? This is liens, and anything that we need to catch it up to stop the foreclosure.
Yeah.
All right. So whatever they are behind on, whatever that payment is, and it's usually a couple of $1,000s, right? I've had stuff that's north of $200,000.
Oh
and
yeah,
I'm like,
that's
damn, that's a lot of money, So, so that's why this is, especially for sub 2, this makes sense, right? We have to do that. Number 4 is how you acquired the lead, right? In this case, we call it the acquisitions cost, all right? Mamadou, you have a team. I have a team, right? We have to pay these people because if we get it from a wholesaler, right? And wholesaler brings it to us and they're like, please, 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 Mamadou and Yasser, you guys are awesome at foreclosures and closing deals. I need to really save this deal. Okay, here you go. Referral fee. All right. So whoever brought you the lead, a realtor. Hey, I'm a realtor. I just know listings and that's all I do. All right. I don't know anything about creative finance, but I'm gonna bring it to you guys because you guys are the closers.
Right.
Right. We're gonna put them out as well. Because by the way, if you're a realtor listening to this, we work with realtors.
100%.
We don't discriminate against who we work with. We work with all professionals. All right. The point is that our common goal here is to get to the foreclosure and get it stopped. All right. That's what it's about. All right. Number 5 is this is me and Mamadou connected on this a couple years ago, and it's renovations. Remember that one in media, bro?
Yeah, 100%. One thing I want to add on the acquisitions cost is, guys, even when you, like, for example, right now, both me and Yasser has a team, but let's say even if you're alone, right? So when you get to the point where you're taking down properties, which I do and Yasser does, my buy and hold company is separated from my wholesaling company. So regardless of if I'm keeping it myself, my wholesaling company still get paid, and that goes into that acquisition cost. So outside of the team, the wholesale fee still get paid to my wholesaling company, and that's part of. So even on yourself, if you're alone and you decide, you know what, this deal makes sense, I have the funds to keep it, and you're direct to seller, or even if you're buying it from a wholesaler, I still pay our wholesale company because it's 2 separate different entities. We don't mix it with the fix and flips, the buy and holds. all those things.
I love it. You have one entity pay out the other
Yeah,
entity.
100%.
Because, really what it comes down to is entity is just a person, right? But
Yeah,
just on paper. And
yeah,
so that's why you want to be able to take care of that person, aka the other entity. It's a very good
100%.
point, brother. So renovations, this is a no brainer, right?
Yeah,
If you need to bring the property up to rent ready, which typically in sub two we do a lot of those, but we also do them as fix and flips as well.
right,
Um, so when you're renovating, you want to make sure that you renovate based on your exit strategy.
right.
Mamadou, would you put high end material in a rental?
Hell no.
I
Hell
can't tell
no.
you how many times over 22 years I've seen this, bro. And I'm like, what are you
Yeah.
doing? Like, what are you
Because they're
doing?
emotionally involved, and
Right.
they don't remember that they're not the one who's gonna live in the property. Fix and
Exactly.
flips newbies do the same thing.
Yeah.
They over renovate.
Don't over renovate. All right.
Yeah.
It might look good in your house, but if the comps don't support it, and I think we should do a whole session on comping,
No,
honestly.
absolutely, 100%.
And because I get this a
That's
lot
a
from
whole
people.
different
Animal.
it's a whole different episode by itself.
Right.
And guys, don't believe the seller when they say it's just carpet and paint.
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh
They
yeah.
don't.
It's up to date.
Yeah.
Usually if it's carpet and paint, it's everything else, including HVAC, plumbing, the whole nine yards.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wait, if you are taking this, qualifying this deal, all right, to put it as Airbnb, okay, or midterm rental, we include the furnishings in the renovation, right, budget. So if I know that it's going to cost me $15,000 to renovate, I'm sorry, to furnish, okay, for Airbnb, I'm going to
Right.
include that into the renovation budget, and
Right.
that'll be one big thing. So that, I get a good idea. Now, key here is this is an estimate. Okay. A lot of people stick to these numbers and they're like, oh my God, I have to. No, you're going to still use your due diligence period when you have it on the contract. All
Right.
right. To see, oh, wow, we discovered some other things that may cost more money. We're
You
either going to,
walked in, there's no roof.
hey, where's the rules, guys? I've done that
That
before.
happened to me. Yeah, that happened to me
Yeah.
with seller.
I opened up a door one time on a 3-story in Philly,
Uh,
and we were considering it was a shell, right? But I didn't think of like shell as in like, wow, this thing really is a shell. I walked in, all right, opened up the door. I saw the basement from where I was standing, all right. And then I look up and I see the ceiling 3 stories up,
oh
the roof.
boy, that
And I'm
happened to
like,
me in Baltimore. Baltimore
wow.
and Philly is so similar as
Oh
far as
yeah.
like markets is concerned.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
they're very similar, man.
Yeah, it's crazy. All the row
Yeah.
homes,
It can it can get rough.
I
It can
love it. I love it. So number 6, we're looking at if these are the holding costs,
right,
right? So and holding costs are several things. And when you think of holding, all it is just if I'm going to renovate the property for 6 months, how much is it going to cost me per month to maintain the property? All right, and also to pay my lenders every
right.
single month. If I was paying them every single, let's say if I buy it with a hard money loan,
Money. Mm-hmm.
right? Forget
Mm.
about subject to.
Right,
There's fees I have to pay every single month. If
right,
there's landscaping, there's utilities, there's taxes, all that stuff is included in the holding costs. Essentially, if I was living there, this is how much it would cost me to maintain this property for the next 6 months. All
right,
right. So that's what holding costs are all about. So all those fees in there, all those monthly subscriptions, all those monthly if I have to bring in a landscaper, to cut the grass every single month, then I'm going to include that in there. So everything to maintain the property,
right.
right? Anything to add to that, brother?
No, that's it. That
Okay,
one is very
great.
straightforward.
So 7, all right, is the marketing cost. All right. If we are doing it as a fix and flip, guess what's going to happen? To make money, you need to spend money. All right. So you need to get
100%.
this out there. So whatever it costs to market the property, and by the way, that includes realtor commissions as well. All right. So if a realtor is going to come in and charge you 4, 5, 6% to list the property, if you're not a realtor yourself, I recommend doing it. All right. Just saying, nothing better than saving on your own commission when on your fix and flips and stuff. So,
Right,
but if let's say you're hiring an awesome realtor like my partner, all right, she's probably going to come in 4, 5, or 6%, depending on what you guys negotiate. and they're gonna, so it's gonna cost you money to list. So realtor fees coming out of this. If you're doing a flat fee listing, it's gonna be included in here as well because there are a lot of
Right.
services out there,
Right.
right? So whatever it costs to essentially market the property for sale, and then obviously the one that a lot of people love to avoid, but they can't, and they always forget about this, is closing costs, right? Both on the buyer side and on the seller side. Okay. If you're buying and holding, you're paying for the buying side. Sometimes the seller wants you to pay for their end as well. So sometimes you're paying for both sides on the buy
Right.
side,
Right.
right? But there's two sets of closing costs if you are doing a fix and flip. One closing cost to buy the property, another closing cost to sell the property. So you want to include all that. And a lot of people forget that. They think it's one closing cost. You
Yeah.
only get one closing cost if and only if you do a buy and hold.
Yep.
Right.
And by the way, guys, if you're really good, like this bullet points right here, especially number 8. If you can actually, let me see, number 4, 5, and 8. When you're talking to sellers and you're negotiating and you're about to make an offer, and let's say the house is worth $300,000, but it needs work, right? You make them the offer and they feel insulted. Unless you can take these bullet points right here and learn how to explain it and break down to the seller, hey, once I get your property right now, I know Zillow says it's worth $300,000, but unless I go spend this and do this, like you got to break it down almost like you're talking to like a 5-year-old child. Okay.
Yeah.
Because remember, most homeowners, they will only sell one house in their lifetime. So instead of going, hey, I'm offering you 150, you have to justify your offer. Otherwise it sounds insulting. So you have to literally have them walk in your shoes as a flipper. Even if you're going to wholesale it, you need to know what expenses a fix and flipper incur. And then once you know it, now you can explain it to the seller so that you put in their mind, in that fix and flipper's mind, so that, oh, okay, so when you list the house, because even for them, they don't understand. They think, oh, if I sell my house 300, they don't understand what commissions are, because not to hate on real estate agents or bash on them, but most real estate agents don't give the sellers what we call a seller's net sheet to show the
Yes.
seller exactly how much the seller.
Good agents do that for
Good
sure.
agents do.
Yeah.
And it's like wholesalers, guys. It's not agents or wholesalers. There's bad apples everywhere. That's not the point. Okay. The point is this: you have to be able to explain all this. Like, hey, when I list it, this cost get out, this cost get out, and this is why it get out, and this is what commission means. Remember, they don't know what commission means. You need to explain all these things. Closing fees, the attorney get paid. Once all these things make sense, just does this make sense? Okay, do you see why I'm only making $30,000? Do you feel like I'm going to get rich off of $30,000? No, I'm not trying to get rich off of your property. I'm trying to create a win-win situation where you walk away with a smile on your face, but I still also have bills to pay, and my daughter need milk, right? I shouldn't apologize to buy my daughter milk, right?
Love that. I love that.
Like, if you can explain this to a very basic level, kind of like this, guys, this obviously takes practice, but you can take these bullet points, take a picture of it, and make it a habit to practice on how to pitch this to a seller, explain this. That's how I do it, and it worked for me. So try it and let me know how it works.
I love it. And it's very hard to argue with logic, right? And or with numbers. People lie all the time, but numbers don't lie.
Numbers don't lie,
Right.
yep.
And I say that with sellers. I don't sugarcoat it with sellers. I tell them how much we're thinking we're gonna make. I even tell them as far as what I'm planning on doing with the property,
Right.
but I don't tell them out of nowhere. I actually trigger them to ask me that question. I'm like, hey, can I share with you what other sellers are asking me? Typically if they were in your position, what I would do with the property. Hey, that's a great question.
Right.
And then I go in and answer them pretty much, right? So realistically, these are the 8 entry fees, all right? And I could tell you this, most people just focus on this one right here, renovations, right? And arrears if it is in foreclosure. Okay.
Right.
That's it. And then they forget about everything else. And I was like, no. There's more involved here, right? So, go ahead and take a picture. And I want you guys to start using this essentially as a checklist.
Right.
And we're gonna go from here. So let's talk about a real deal. All right. We had a Texas one. out in Texas. I'm not gonna say where. It was brought to us by a JV partner, and the JV partner is fairly new in real estate. Hey, I need your help. You're a leader. You're experienced. You're a closer. You're a foreclosure specialist. Help me out. All right.
Mhm, mhm,
Sure. Submit the lead. Let's see what's happening here. All right. So immediately, right off the bat, we found that the arrears was around 35K. All right. And the seller didn't want anything because they were in, like their auction is in March, right? We're actually in January, so it's a month and a half later, and it was a divorce situation, really bad situation. It was listed on the market. Realtor tried to help, nothing happened. It didn't sell on the market, right? For whatever reason, okay. And next thing you know, the first thing I usually ask is, hey, what's the arrears? All right. How far behind are they? And
mhm.
we're going to need these numbers because we're going to need to figure out if it makes sense as a deal. All
Right.
right. That's what this is all about. Ramadou, do you like spending a lot of money on properties
No,
to buy them?
no.
Let's say you have $100,000. Do you want
Uh-huh.
to spend all your $100,000 on one property, or do you
Hell
want to
no.
split it over multiple properties?
I want to buy at least 3 properties with that.
With the 100,000, right?
Yeah.
So as a buyer, right, as an investor, if you're brand new as a buyer, I want you to look at how much you're putting in to the deal, right? And so when we talk about, hey, how much are you into it? That's what this is what we mean, right? How much are you into it, right? So, and I can't tell you how many times I get wholesalers that send us stuff like this, and it's like, oh, it's a great deal. I'm like, what's the entry fee? What's that? you know, I'm like, oh my goodness, we're wow, we have a lot of education to do.
I had one like that yesterday. Somebody called me. They said, "Hey, I need your help underwriting the deal. I'm about to buy it. They were gonna buy it from a wholesaler."
Yeah,
If you look at the email they received from the wholesaler, it says, "Great deal. Works as pad split, midterm rental, all these things," and they literally have numbers next to it. 4,000 cash flow. None of it worked.
right.
Never gave comps. Never. They just
Oh
made
my
up
goodness,
numbers, and it's like, okay, how did you?
bro.
So guys, if in order, remember, your disposition is the most important probably piece of the puzzle when it comes to like wholesaling specifically, because you have to sell your deal. It still sells. So when you send it to a buyer, if your buyer have to sit down and do this by themselves, you've lost 99.9% of your buyers. Nobody want to
Yep,
do this for you, right? Unless you
yep,
want them to help you, like Yasser said, like this one, he need help with the acquisition. So I'm gonna sit down and do this because now you're bringing me an opportunity. I'm going to help you close the seller so I can sit down and underwrite it because I'm going to make money off of it and you're going to get paid off of it, like Yasser said, as a referral fee. But if you send it to me for me to buy it and pay you an assignment, I don't want to do shit. I want to look at it and go, okay, check, 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 check. Okay, this makes sense. Okay, my cash on cash return makes sense. Okay, great. I verified the location. This matches my buybacks. Boom, right? So you're selling. So if you
right,
send me a deal and you say it works as pad split, and you put the cash flow $4,000 like this knucklehead yesterday, okay, you didn't put not one comp of
right,
pad split. You didn't
right.
break down the numbers. You didn't show me why pad split work. The parking. This was a townhouse, bro. It doesn't even have parking. How can you do pad split, right? You say in
Wow.
midterm, okay, the location doesn't work as a midterm. There's no hospitals around, nothing. Where did you get that from? So unless you can justify, same thing with a cash deal. If you send it to a buyer, like, dude, it takes you 3 minutes. Go and find your comps that justify your as is asking and put it. Hey, 123 Main Street sold for X. 123, Yasser Street sold for X. And this is why I think is worth this. It's selling. You're selling. If you don't sell your product, you know.
And it comes down to, don't be lazy. You want to make money, don't be lazy. Right. That's literally what it comes down to. If me as a buyer, if I'm looking at it, like what you said, Mamadou, if I'm looking at it, we know as buyers, as experienced buyers, we know what's a good deal and what's not, even before we even look at pictures, right? Just based on numbers. Then we see the pictures and we're like, yep, sure enough, it doesn't make sense, right? And this is what we're looking at. We're looking at these 8 entry fees in our head sometimes. Okay. And so I love back in the napkin analysis. I don't use spreadsheets, guys. And anyone that's trying, by the way, here's a disclaimer. If someone's trying to sell you a spreadsheet, You know what I'm gonna say, right?
All of them are.
I
All of
think
them
we're gonna
are.
make a lot of enemies on this one, but it is
Yeah.
what it is, right? If someone is trying to sell you something, they're usually doing it in a way where it's very value driven. Okay. So just be very careful. There's a lot of gurus out there. All right.
Yeah.
I've never said I was a guru. All right. I don't know it all, but I know enough. All right.
Right.
And I
Right.
do the business day in and day out with my team. So be careful who you are going after. I just have to put
Yeah.
that out there because I feel like it's my obligation and my duty to teach you, all right, you guys who are watching us, who's the real deal and who's not.
100%. 100%.
Okay. So let's get into it. So this one, the husband was in the property and needed some work, but it really wasn't much. I mean, we got the pictures from the JV partner, and it came out to it was a cosmetic. It was really a cleanup and some paint, maybe. So we said, hey, plus we're gonna furnish it as as a midterm rental. So we
Okay.
figured all in, we were probably gonna be around like 7 to 10,000. All right,
Yeah.
all in. All right,
Yeah.
to clean it up, get a paint and all that stuff. Roof is good. We look at HVAC, we looked at the plumbing, and we're still going through due diligence. This number may change. All right, it may change. So keep that in mind. All right, a lot of people get stuck on this, and they don't pull the trigger. All right, because so just remember that you still got a due diligence period. That's what this is all about. All
Right.
right, lock the property up, do your due diligence during your inspection period. Do me a favor. If you are a wholesaler listening to this, do not, I'm going to repeat this again, do not lock up properties with no inspection contingencies. All right. Please do yourself a favor because what happens is the inspection contingency is your out or
Do
your
the community a favor, guys. Do the
do your
community.
thank you.
If you
Yeah.
don't
Thank
love
you.
yourself, just do it for us.
Right.
You
Right.
know.
So because we want to be able to still bring in our people, if you're bringing us deals, we want to bring in our people, our boots on the ground. Mama do.
No,
That's actually
or
how.
not have every seller call us a scam
Right. Exactly.
because you couldn't
Exa-
fulfill every contract you've had. You don't have any inspection
exactly.
period. You back out because you didn't know what you're doing. So this is why the whole industry is getting so regulated, is because of the few bad apples that
Correct.
just do whatever, don't care, no ethics, no morals. I don't care. I just want to make my 10K.
Right.
So guys, it's really important. So if you don't care about yourself enough, at least care about others that are at least trying as much as they can to help sellers. So that, because if you mess up, now if I call that seller, let's say you cancel and you didn't have a due diligence period and you cancel on that seller. When I call that seller, now guess what? I have to
Oh,
spend 1 hour to
yep.
rebrainwash them and
Yep.
fix your shit. I don't even know who you are. But I gotta go there and say, no, it's not everybody. So I spend an hour on that before they can even give me air and listen to me. Okay, maybe I'll listen to you, but man, guys.
Man.
Okay, don't
I
get
love
offended. I wasn't harsh today.
you, Mamadou is trying to be nice to you guys, but I'm gonna tell you I'm not gonna be nice. I'm gonna play the back cop today and tell you don't be a knucklehead.
No,
Listen to what we're doing, and if you don't understand, and if you're confused about something, don't make a decision based on misinformation or lack of information. That's even worse.
all
All
right,
right. Reach out to people like me, Mamadou, so that we can help you. We will be more. I love educating, and so does
100%,
Mamadou. All right.
100%.
I've seen him at events. I've seen him at seminars and webinars. He does a phenomenal
Yeah, I
job
love teaching.
breaking this stuff down. And you got to love what you do and do what you love, right?
Yeah,
Come to us. We will be more than happy to work with you. All right. I work with everybody, guys. So does Mama do. All right, let's get into it again. No more, no more. I'm not preaching anymore. That's it. We're getting straight into it. So the renovations, all right. Holding costs, we're not going to include that right now because really we're actually buying and holding this. So we're not renovating. So I'm not going to include the holding costs just to keep it simple.
right,
All right.
right.
Marketing, we're not flipping it. We're keeping it. So there's no back end that we have to worry about. Closing costs, Mamadou, what do you use for percentage wise? Closing
For me,
costs.
I always put on average, I always put 7K. I found in most state you
Mhm.
may spend up to there.
Hmm.
in between that, either more like in Maryland. I used to, some of my closing calls were like 10K or more.
Yeah.
So, but 7K is a good
It's a good number.
rule of
Yeah.
thumb
Yeah.
to start
I,
with.
I like that. And if you ever want to look at percentage wise, from my experience, it's typically 2 to 3% of
Right.
the purchase price.
Boom.
Right. So you could do it that way, or you could do it the flat. Remember, this is gonna
What's the purchase price, yes, or on a creative finance deal?
so purchase price on a creative finance deal. This particular one is two things. Um, you're looking at the mortgage balance,
Mm-hmm.
all right, which will I'll tell you here in a second, and the arrears. Okay. That's it. All right.
Right.
So in this case, this particular mortgage balance was two, man, there's so many numbers in my head. 270, I want to say 275K. All right.
Yeah.
And the arrears, obviously we see it up here, is 35K.
Right.
All right. So the purchase price here is two, what is that? Three,
That's
Mama do
270. That's
three
300,000.
ten.
Yeah, 310. There you go. Boom.
Okay. So 310K. That's
Yeah.
the purchase price on a straight sub two,
Right.
right? So
Yeah.
essentially, we're doing is coming in, putting the purchase price as the mortgage balance and the arrears. That's it.
You just
Is
adding that up. Because I get this
correct.
question all the time from newbies. That, "Oh, what is the purchase price? How do I add the assignment and then the closing and then the this, the that?" No, guys,
Keep it
exactly the way
separate.
you said right now. You take the
Exactly.
underlying debt plus whatever the arrears are, and you add those two numbers together. That will be the purchase price when you go to closing on the HUD. If you look at the HUD and where the line that says purchase price, that will be this number. So you just
Correct.
add it up. That's the purchase price.
Correct. And I think one of the things that we could talk about in another session, and let us know in the chat, guys. Let us know in the the chat and all the other ways to get in touch with us. Let us know if you want us to break down a HUD for you. I think that would be very
Oh, that would
valuable.
be a good one. Yeah,
I
100%.
know. So that I'll tell you what the seller side, the buyer side,
100%.
debt,
Yeah.
credit. So
If you've never, guys, I promise you that episode right there, if you've never been on the hard as a buyer, I'm talking about. If you all you've been is wholesaling or you've never actually closed on a deal yet, that right there, Yasser, going through that exercise, I did it. So I had a buyer before I ever bought my first property myself. I wanted to be good at explaining to sellers what happens, the mechanics at closing. And I didn't know how because I've never closed a deal myself.
never close. Yeah, I
Yeah.
get it.
So I was closing a deal, and the buyer that was buying it from me, I said, "Would you mind if you walk me through the actual HUD? Because I don't understand it. Because I'm
Right.
just, typically wholesalers, we just go straight to the line that says,
Right.
Mama do 10,000.
What do I get?
That's
And
all
that's it. I don't care about everybody else.
But when he walked
Yeah.
me through that, oh my gosh! You guys know the Chinese saying, right? Like, one image is worth 1,000 words.
Yep.
That was like he walked me through it, and he was having me walk through it. I was like, oh, I see now why.
You saw the whole
Sometimes when
picture.
we send you guys deals and I want to make 25, and you're like, bro, what the heck are you talking about? This now I see like all these fees, all this. Then I took that HUD, printed the HUD, outlined it, and then I started practicing in front
I
of the
studied
mirror.
it.
How do I
I
explain
love
these
it.
mechanics to a seller?
Oh my God, bro. You were a G. All right.
That's how I
Because
learned. Like that's how my brain works.
that's the way you want to do it. All right. And if you're a realtor listening to this, you already have a step ahead, right? Because you're closing deals, you just need one deal. When you close your first deal, whether as a wholesaler, investor, buyer, doesn't matter, a realtor, take a look at the HUD. I can't tell you how many mama do. Oh my God, bro. You know how many realtors I know out of all these years that I've never looked at HUDs?
Of course, bro.
I'm like,
I've met
so you don't
I've
look
met
at your
a
settlement sheets to
I've
make
met a
sure
notary like that.
it's crazy, and
Common sense is not common.
well,
I've met a
yeah.
notary, bro. She came to me. She's doing like 3, 4 closings a week.
Oh my
Guess how many
goodness,
years she's been trying to be an investor in real estate?
probably like 5 years or something.
I'm like, okay, all these HUDs, like you're closing with me right now. Let's say we never spoke. You just
Wow.
came, I signed you, and you leave. The HUD that I just like everything I just signed with you. Do you actually read it? She says,
No.
no, never. I said, like,
What?
don't.
It's
She's like, hold on,
people.
what are you? I've never
People,
thought about it. I'm like, you have everything in your hands.
right? It's like I don't know how to be an investor, but I have all the tools in front of me.
That was funny, bro.
I love
That
it,
was
man. I
funny.
love it. Cool. So that's and I do, by the way, I do get this question a lot. What's the purchase price on a sub two? And that's literally how that works. All right.
Yeah.
Everything else
Mhm.
is addition. Okay.
Right.
If there was some equity in the house, okay, and now you're looking at something like a hybrid where you're doing subject to and seller finance, right? Seller finance based on their equity. Now we're talking a different language, but we're just keeping it simple here because this is the deal that we're working on right now. Cool. Acquisition. I had to pay a referral fee and my acquisition team. Let's call that 4K. All
Mhm.
right, so that my acquisition team is happy and they could do more deals
I know, right?
and close more. And then holding costs, we're not, in this case, we're not going to do holding costs, so we're just going to cancel this out, cancel this bad boy out. Right. And let's see, cash is seller. There was another sub two offer
Mhm.
as well from someone in the other community.
Mhm.
And we wanted to kind of be a little bit more competitive. So we end up actually, because the realtor was kind of working with us and trying to get this deal done because
Right.
the work on market and she was still involved.
Mhm.
Um, we wanted to pay the realtor, right? So we gave 1,000 to the realtor, right? And
Mhm.
then I think it was we said, oh, 1,000 to each person. So the realtor, the sell and both sellers. All right. So I guess I could have
It's
just
two sellers.
yeah, it's a husband and wife. All
Okay.
right.
This is a divorce, right?
Divorce, right?
Okay. Like
Uh,
always, guys.
like always, we said this on another episode, right?
Yeah.
So altogether 3,000, call it cash to seller. That's what fits under this bucket right here. Okay. Due diligence, we had to pay, we're paying right now someone to go in and do inspections. All right. It'll probably be, I usually like to just put 500 just to be safe. Okay. Just to say that I have it. And if I don't
Right.
use it,
Right.
I won't,
Absolutely.
right?
Absolutely.
So sometimes this number goes up to like freaking 5,000. And it's like, wow, that's with like, foundational issues, stuff like
Yeah.
that, where I want to make sure that we raised the house before, bro. You ever
Right.
seen
Right.
a house raised with, it's like you're changing a tire.
I know.
It's
Was it
crazy,
a
bro.
was it a mobile home or something?
Yeah, yeah, it was a mobile home and we had to jack it up and do all
Yeah, I
that. And
know. I
it was
know.
pretty cool actually watching the whole
So
thing.
before you move on to this one, Yasser. So let's say hypothetically, I'm sitting there either whether I'm a wholesaler or maybe I'm a licensed agent.
Right?
And I go, bro, how you taking advantage of this seller and agent giving them 1,000?
Right?
How would you justify giving 1,000 to an agent? Somebody sitting there saying that's not fair. They should have gotten what is the commission typically?
5%, 6%. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. My thing is I'm an agent as well. All right. Sometimes listings make sense, sometimes they do not.
right,
But at the end of the day, I want to be able to still take care of agents, all right, for their efforts. This $1,000 from an agent perspective could be the cost of getting this lead back in the
right,
day.
right,
Okay. So, or marketing efforts, because it
right.
costs money to make money and to get in front of people. So
100%.
that's why when we put it, I don't know if you guys do the same thing. I usually put this as marketing fee, all right, to the agent.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes on the HUD, depending on which title company we use or closing attorney. And that's, that
So
goes to the
if you put that, what is that does? They don't have to pay the broker from it?
so yeah, sometimes we pay the broker, sometimes we pay the agent,
Right,
right? So depending on what the title company wants or they don't want, we
yeah,
work with it that way. So every
yeah,
case is different, right?
right,
But the reason why I like to put it as marketing is because it literally is the marketing cost that the agent had to go to put up front first to get this lead. Okay, whether it's Facebook ads, Instagram, whatever it costs. Okay, so essentially they're recouping their money and also making some money on top of it. All right.
Mm-hmm.
They're recouping their marketing money. And I like to explain it to agents like that. But I've had agents that want $5,000. I've had
Right.
10,000, you know?
Right.
And I'm like, hey, listen, let's be real. We tried to market, it didn't work. Okay. We're here, we're buyers. Here's our proof of funds. Boom, we're ready to do this. And we want you to do, and I plan seats with agents all the time. I'm like, by the way, this is one deal. I
Right.
want a relationship with you. I want you to bring me stuff like this all the time so you can get more money paid on every single one. All
Right.
right. So now I'm going to put money, and I always lead with value. I'm going to put money in your pocket every single deal. And they see that this number becomes all magical now, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
now they see it's going to be all they have to do is give me leads.
It's all about perspective.
It's all about perspective, right? So that's how we're able to do it. And realistically, Mama, do I have to pay the agent?
No, that's my point. I wanted to break down why, because I guarantee you 80% of people will look at this and say it's unfair. I'm not talking about the logical people that are super emotional,
Yeah.
including agents and people watching it saying, oh yeah, you're just going around taking advantage of people. I see it all the
Right.
time.
Yeah.
So here's the
Yeah.
thing, guys. You guys have to understand, outside of this right here, really what is happening here. When you buying a property like this on creative finance, especially when a real estate agent is involved, they typically have been trying to sell that property for a couple of months and could not sell it on the market as a cash deal. Cash is always king. Cash is always the first option. And so if they couldn't sell it on the market, what did the market tell them? You're overpriced. This is not the market for this kind of prices. It's not
Correct.
working out, right? So the cash didn't work. So when I come in and offer my solution, I'm actually helping the real estate agent sell a product that they couldn't find clients for. I'm the only
Right.
one in the ring. Everybody else gave up, right?
Right.
So with that being said, I'm not paying them based on a listing that they had and an agreement that they had with the seller on a 3% or 6% commission, because they didn't do that job. Not their fault, the market's fault, but they didn't do that job. Sorry. So that's
Right.
the reason why, instead of me giving you $7,000 or $9,000 or $10,000, I can give you $2,000 still, or $1,000, or depending, because the numbers just gotta make sense, right?
Right.
So I've seen agents where they're like, they feel so entitled to that $9,000. I had an agent once here in Atlanta where the seller was about to lose their home, and the agent is like, if I'm not getting 7,000, I would rather. Literally, she told me this on the phone. I had the newbie on the phone with me. She said she would rather let the seller go get foreclosed on
And
than
go ahead.
lower her fee. I'm like, listen, I am paying you still. I'm not saying I'm not paying you. I'm saying, in order for the numbers to work, mind you, you're getting more money than the seller. The seller is getting 5.
Wow. Yeah.
You are asking to get 9. I think it's 9 or
Wow.
7. And so I'm telling you, can you match the seller at 5 and we can make this deal work? Everything else
Right.
pencils out.
Right.
It's like, no, I would rather let the seller, literally, bro.
And if you're an agent watching this, I'm going to tell you right now, we do work with agents. However, if you're that type of agent, don't come to me.
Yeah,
I don't want to deal with you because you have limited mindset. You have scarcity mindset. We
very.
are abundant mindset people. We want everyone to make money. We want everyone to get paid, but within logic. Okay. So that's the kind of agents we want to work with, right? We want to work with agents who are logical, someone who actually cares about their clients. Okay.
Right.
And that's really what it comes down to. And I could say that because I'm an agent. so,
Yeah.
uh, so all right, let's get into this. So what's the total here? We're gonna do some math here. I'm gonna put 500 plus 3,000. Right. So I'm gonna mark these off as I go so I don't lose track because I lose track a lot. And
Plus
so this is
4,000.
good. This is good. Accounted for 35,000.
I got 49,500.
All right. Mamadou is way quicker. Did you use
Oh,
10, 10 or 7?
no, I didn't. I missed that one. Let me see. I'm gonna use the higher number always to be conservative. So I'm gonna go with 10. So that would be 59,500.
59,500. Very good. All right. So the total entry fee, total,
Mhm.
right? Say it again. 30, 50.
59,500.
Not bad. Right.
Yeah.
So 59.5. All right, great. So, and then this is where we're going to talk about comping next session. But let's talk about it. I'm buying a house for 59,500. That's actually not worth 310, right?
Right.
By buying the property subject to the existing mortgage, stopping the foreclosure by paying the arrears and closing on the property, and we become the new owner. All right. This is where now we look at two sides of the equation. And I like to draw it this way with my team. Entry fee and cash flow. Okay. It's a two-part equation. And we're going to water it down. There's a little bit more involved, but we're going to water it down. 59,500. Call it 60K entry. Okay. If we're running ARV, all right. And I know Mamadou, you don't run ARV, but I want to see how much how much I'm at when it comes to the entry fee versus how much the purchase price is and versus how much the ARV is. All right.
No, no.
ARV,
Let me take that back. I do, but I don't make my purchase based
correct.
on that.
Because the value of a property that is bought subject to is in what, Mamadou?
Right. Isn't
It's
based on the equity that's in.
right. And the cash flow, right? So
Yeah.
we're looking at
It's
cash
based on
flow,
the cash flow. Yeah.
right? So ARV, all right, and then purchase price. This one, the purchase price, as we said, is 310, right? Which is this bad boy right here.
Mhm.
Okay. And the ARV running comps, we are looking at 460K. Okay. If you take the 60K, okay, and what we're trying to do is how much is my entry fee versus my purchase price in percentage wise, right? One of the best ways to do that is take the 60K, right, and divide it by the purchase price. So I want to see how much really I'm into the deal for. All right. And at 310,000 purchase price, I'm looking at roughly around 19%. Okay. It's a little bit steeper than what I like.
Right.
19% is the entry fee. So essentially it's almost a 20% down, right?
Right. Right.
I like to do is get into deals that are typically 15% or lower. All right. However, this is not the only factor. Okay. So am I already kind of going against what I like to do? Yes. But this is the part that I love. All right. What I'm looking at now. So when let's say if I'm wholesaling this, by the way, I'm adding my,
You may want to tell them, how did you came up to the 19%? How did you run the math?
so I'm taking the 60K and dividing it by the 310K.
Exactly.
All right. So it comes out to 19 and change, so I'm just saying 19. Okay. Typically, if this was any other deal, I'd be like, okay, this is kind of steep. It's
Right.
going to be cash heavy to get into it.
It's a regular rental for sure.
Oh, yeah. So, and I'm glad that you caught on to it. So let's talk about that. LTR, which is long-term rental.
Mm.
We checked the comps, we checked the area, and we saw that regular rent, it's still with cash flow, believe it or not, bro. All right. Regular rents were coming in around 3,800 a month. That's not bad.
That's for a pity.
Right. Thank you. And I pity the fool that doesn't ask, what the pity is, right? So let's talk about that. Pity, right? Which is principal, interest. Go ahead, talk to me, bro.
Taxes.
Let's go. All right, taxes
and insurance.
Let's go. Always gotta have insurance, right? Now we're having a great time. I
used
love
to
it.
be a singer, guys. Don't try.
Oh
me.
yeah, no,
I'm on
yeah,
YouTube.
in Belgium, right? I love it, man. So a pity on this altogether. This is your AKA your mortgage payment, right? Because remember, we're taking it over subject to. So we're taking over the payments once we catch it up on arrears. The pity for this, believe it or not, it was actually pretty good. It's 2,400 a month.
Nice.
So
And what
what I
interest
look
rate?
at, I'm sorry,
What interest rate is this?
very good question. Interest rate on this, it's a I believe it's a FHA
Mhm.
3.1%.
Nice.
Let's go, right? So this is what I like to teach. Ceiling, right? And floor, right? The brown is the dirt. You get it? Or the sand. Because we're from Africa, so it's the Sahara Desert.
I love it.
So and the ceiling is this is the sky, right? So essentially you're creating a gap between here to here. And what's the gap? You're looking at $1,400. Okay.
All right.
Now, most people say, let's go here and say $1,400 a month. That's my cash flow. And I love this. All right. This is not the cash flow, guys. This is not the cash flow. All right. What we're looking at is this is the spread. All right. It's called the spread. And the spread is essentially telling you how healthy is this deal if I was to buy it, rent it out on long-term rental, and then pay off the debt. But there's other factors that go into it. All right. Mamadou, what are we doing here?
Yeah,
As far
guys.
as
So this right here is what we call, do you guys know if you when you throw up, do you want to see do you want to look at, do you want to give a second look this thing that you just throw up on? So this is the gross, right? Literally is gross. You don't want it. That's why. It's like nobody wants shit that is gross. So this right here, you still have to deduct all the things that you hate. We both hate. You have to deduct the expenses. And then after that, now you're left with the net, which is the real fish you can put on that grill and eat. Okay. So
go?
break down for them what kind of expenses you have to on
Very
the
good.
on the LTR.
So I like your explanation. I like to see it as fishing, throwing a net, removing all the water and getting the good fish,
Yes,
right?
sir.
So this is the fish with the dirty water, okay? And now we're gonna remove all the stuff that has to go out. What comes in versus what goes out.
All
All
right.
right. This is what comes in. All right. Now we got to talk about what goes out. And what goes out is a couple of things. All right. And I'm really gonna break it down. Should I go ham on them, bro? I should go ham on them, right?
Yeah, 100%.
All right. So you have repairs that have to happen, whether they're planned, whether they're oh crap moments and the boiler burst. You need to put some money aside for that. Okay. Depending on the property, we personally, everybody's different, by the way. I have to point this out.
Right.
Everybody is different. Some
Right.
people have a higher risk tolerance, some people have a
Right.
lower risk tolerance.
Right.
I typically go in the middle. Okay.
Right.
And what I like to do is I actually put roughly around 5 to 10% for in reserves for repair per month, by the way. This is all per month. Okay. If I'm renting it out on long-term rental, it's not if, but when I lose my tenants. Because you're gonna say you sign a Mamadou, you have tenants that stay with you for life,
Oh,
or did
hell no.
right? So they're not there to buy, right? They're there to stay for temporarily, right? So you will lose your tenants. It's not it's not if, but when. Typically, I like to put another 5 to 10% on the side for this. This gives me enough time to turn the house.
Right.
All right. The tenants do some damage. We have to come in for fresh paint, get it ready for the next tenants. Okay. Um, then we're gonna have something called OPEX, right? These are essentially everything that it costs to run the property, right? And this is operating expenses. This
Mm.
could be administrative, It could be, anything. If it costs money to run the property, it's right here. Okay. Typically we run it 7% in our company when we're looking at the numbers. Right. This number these, by the way, all come off of this number.
Right.
Okay. The gross. So let's do some math. Let's even use 10%. 10, 10, and 17. So 27%. So what's 27%?
Do you add management in OpEx?
Management, yeah, I kind of separate it in a sense where I want to see first what it looks like without management fee, then I want to look at it with management fee. So that's why I kind of separate it that way.
Yeah.
And that came from experience just doing it that way. Because sometimes you may want to manage, and I highly recommend don't manage your own properties. But if you do have to manage your properties, you want to make sure that it cash flows even with management.
Right.
But so that's why I run both scenarios. So I look at
Yeah.
27%.
Now you're left with 2774 if you deduct all this.
So how much was this? The 27% off of the 3,800.
Is 1,024.
1,024.
Yeah.
Okay. And how much did you say was left?
Give me 1 second. I lost it. 3,800 times 27%. Yeah, 1,026. Sorry. So 1,026 minus 3,800. You're left with 2,774.
Okay. And what I do also now, this is the part where I put the management, right? So now we're going to take what goes out again. So already I know that it's going to work, right? We haven't included debt yet, right? That debt is another thing. That's the PITI. Okay. But what is our debt? 2,400, right? So it's already kind of looking close, right? So this is scenario 1, and we're going to talk about scenario 2. So scenario 1, we're going to take the debt out. And how much are we left with, Mamadou?
We're left with 374.
And what is this called?
This one still gross to me.
Okay. What else you got?
Management. Even if I don't even if I don't have it, I always put management on the side.
So how about this? Net without management.
Yeah, this would be net without management.
And that's the first scenario.
Yeah.
Okay. I want to see bottom line. All right. And this is not bottom line yet. So, and then 2, with management. All right. Management. What's the normal management out there?
On the LTR, like 10%.
10%. Yeah. So we're going to take 10%. So we're going to take this number now and subtract the 10% off of this, right? So 10% of 3,800 is what?
3,800 times 10%. That's 3. Oh, you want to do the management from the gross, the 3,800 gross?
Yeah, I take it from the gross.
Oh, okay. Yeah, as you should. That's 380. I'm just saying that's negative at that point.
Yeah, exactly. And you see,
so if you have management here, guys, then yeah, it's negative.
So you have, and this is why I want to make.
By the way, I would consider this a negative cash flow I wouldn't do this property as a regular rental, but it's a safe property to buy if it works for a higher cash flow exit, because your worst case is always to pivot back to regular rental, which will always work.
I love it. All right. So that's why I separated that way. One with cash flow, one with management, one without management. You see, and a lot of people always run it without management. And I want to be able to show both sides. Now typically I would have had this solved in 4 minutes in my head. Right. But I want to show the people here watching us what this is about, why management is so important. If I was to tell you to pick one number and one number only to work with, it would be this, not this. Okay. Because you want to be able to make sure it cash flows with management. So if you decide to use management, then it still cash flows. Right.
Guys, listen. If you're marketing to properties, there is a reason when you go on PropStream, whatever apps you use to pull your lists, there's a reason we have a list called the tired landlord.
Yep.
Telling you right now, if you try to run your own properties because you're trying to be, penny smart, dollar stupid. That's what
Yeah,
it's, that's the
I
saying, right?
like that. That's a good one.
I tried that one. Trust me,
Yeah.
it's gonna come and bite you in your butt. If you're
Yep.
looking to build a portfolio from the beginning, have discipline. Don't try to turn yourself in both a real estate marketer, investor, wholesaler, and also a property management. That's the reason you have a list called tired landlords. They
Love it.
try to do the same thing and they hated their goddamn life.
I
I went
love it.
through the same mistake on my first rental. I was like, F this,
This.
never again.
Yeah, I'm telling you, man, it's when you get that call at 3 o'clock in the morning. Oh,
Yeah,
little
trust me.
Timmy flushed his toy alligator in
Oh
the
boy,
toilet, and now it's backed up, and there's crap all over the floor.
you
And
don't want
oh,
it.
by the way, it's seeping on to the first floor, to the tenants for on the first floor. Have fun with that, right? So that's why I always say, but this is, I'm doing it obviously to show you guys to really hone in on
The
this
options, yep.
is the most important thing, right? With management. So most people would stop here, but because me and Mamadou are awesome and we look at things creatively, we look at several other options, which includes what, Mamadou? MTR.
For me right now, I'm obsessed with midterm rentals. I've moved away a little bit from the Airbnb just because of the
Yep.
market.
Yep.
So midterm, if you guys don't know what midterms are, this is just a term used broadly, guys. It could be traveling nurses, it could be families that the insurance is looking for a place for them. Those are my favorites because it's always a long lease and they pay better than Airbnb. Like my last one was one of my last ones that the tenant just got out, 7 months was like 10,800 per month. Airbnb would have only paid me like maybe 8 grand. And it was 7 months lease and no headaches whatsoever, other than, you know what I mean, like cleaning it throughout the week. So I love
Mhm.
midterm. So for me right now, is midterm that I look at on single
Yeah.
families.
I love that. And so if you wanted to know what the difference is, usually you're looking at the days, right?
Yeah.
30 days or more. Some midterm rentals run at 3 months.
Right.
Some are at 6 months, but these are usually, it's a different class of people. It's a different class of people, right?
Very.
So this one, without getting into further detail about the midterms, this one, we're actually going to turn it into a midterm. We could do a short term too, because they allowed it there. Me personally, and this is where to each your own, right? Everyone is operating different.
Know thyself.
Yeah, exactly. Know thyself. And thyself is so busy that I can't manage a short-term rental. I don't want to deal with guest headaches and all that stuff, even if I have a short-term rental management company, right? I don't want to deal with it.
Yeah,
So what I like is
it's a lot.
there's a certain class that I like to work with, professionals, medical, airline, whoever it is. And so that's why this one we're turning it into a midterm rental. When we ran the numbers, all right, without getting into detail about it, but when we ran the numbers, this one fully occupied would bring us 6,000.
Nice.
Actually, no, I take that back. This is a different number, a different one. It's 60. We calculate to around 6,600 a month.
Nice.
All right. Not bad, huh?
Yeah.
So this is
Good one.
growth. All right. So
Right.
immediately we already know we can actually maximize, because if we went from 3,800 here to 6,000, that's a big difference, right?
Difference. Very.
So now it's going to work as a midterm rental. Now we're happy, right? That includes all the midterm rental management, the whole 9 yards, and we got more of a secure, by the way, secure gross income versus short term.
Yeah.
Okay, a little bit more secure.
100%. 100%.
They stay longer, right? So
100%.
so that was the deal, and that's what we're looking at, right? Those two things, to recap, we're looking at, from a buyer perspective, I'm looking at this, how much cash up front to get into the deal using the 8 entry fees, and cash flow ability. Okay, especially on this particular one, which is a straight subject to deal. Boom,
Right.
boom, boom. I think
Boom, boom, guys. So this one right here, go down. Yes, sir.
Yeah, sure.
All the way down. So the midterm number, guys, here, 6,600. Once you do all the deductions now, again, if you're gonna have to hire management, all those things if you want to. Once you come up with your net, you want to take that net and times it by 12. Whatever that result is, you divide it by your entry fee here, which is the $60,000, and that will tell you how much your $60,000 is making per year in terms of returns. That's how an investor thinks. I
Yep.
have $50,000 in my bank account, even if it's not your money. I have $60,000 here. If I deploy this capital into this deal, how much is this 60,000 yielding in returns?
Yep.
Does these returns put a smile on my face, or can I get a better return on the next deal? If I can, let's say you have 4 deals. That's how you look at it. Where is my 60,000 is going to bring me the highest and best return? Wherever that that is, you want to deploy that capital there, right? Now, every single deal has numbers that can make it work. So let's say hypothetically, you run the cash on cash return on this one and you go, my $60,000 was bringing me more on my stocks or the next property or whatever. You can always go back to the seller and renegotiate, or you can always find a way to bring this 60,000 down, and then now is a deal, right? So every deal have a number, every property, yes, every deal have a number that could make it a deal to where it makes sense. You just need to look at, okay, what can I get rid of? Where can I go renegotiate? Where can I do this? Now, some deals you absolutely can't unless you negotiate directly with the lender.
Yep.
That's short sales. We're gonna do a whole nother episode for that.
Yeah.
But this is how you look at it. So you're basically just trying to find out, if I put my $60,000 in this, what is the returns that is yielding per year? Does it make sense for me to deploy it? Would it be responsible for me as somebody who's managing somebody else's funds or my funds? And am I a responsible business owner if I do that? That's why the cash on cash return is such an important factor when it comes to creative finance, not the equity. Even though the equity, I've changed my mind a little bit on this. I bought into the philosophy of, oh, don't care about the equity. No, guys, do care about it. Absolutely do care about it for the long term. So if you don't care about it, you become a lazy negotiator. So every single deal where it makes sense, the seller has equity, where it makes sense for you to walk in with 20, 30% equity in the deal, even though you're buying it creative, guys, I promise you, do it. Why? Because now you're putting a safety net for all your deals and you don't have all these mines. So let's say, for example, for whatever reason, you bought a property from, the lender is Wells Fargo, and something happens and Wells Fargo want to call the note due. If all your portfolio is negative equity, you're effed. You cannot refi, you cannot sell, you can, unless you can go find private lenders that have 300,000 laying down, you are effed. So don't buy into this philosophy of, oh, don't look at the equity, don't care about it. No, guys, somebody's selling you a goddamn course. Don't buy into it. So you want to have a balance. Okay, you want to have the balance. So some deals make sense to buy with no equity, but don't have the whole portfolio. By the way, I'm talking to you guys based on my experience, and I've made the mistakes. And when the interest rate changed on this market, I've sold a lot of properties because I made that mistake. So now, every single time I can negotiate because it's not either or. Why not have both? If I can negotiate a great, fantastic deal, because I'm not a lazy negotiator, I buy it subject to, I don't have to go to hard money lenders, but I can also negotiate to get equity on the same deal. Bro, do it. It's fucking 20, 30%.
No brainer.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that I hedge myself against whatever the case may be. So appreciation is going to be, I'm going to get better appreciation, right? Because most sellers are going to ask, there's no way you're keeping this loan for 30 years. At some point, you want to be able to refi, take that capital and deploy it into new deals. Let's say Wells Fargo want to call the loan due. Now you can go refi because you were smart enough to leave a little leeway for yourself to be able to get out. So those kind of things. So please don't buy into the hype, because most people that you listen to online are not doing deals anyway, guys. They're not doing deals. Okay. As for the HUD, receipts, like Grant Cardone always say, show me the receipts.
Show me the money. Show me the money.
Show me the money. Okay. Guys, so again, our personal experience, know thyself. You got to know yourself based on your risk tolerance. And at the end of the day, when you listen to people, guys, my biggest advice on this episode, please, when you listen to anyone, including me, whoever, it doesn't matter. They have 100,000 followers. They have 2,000 followers. Listen to people, but most importantly, study them. Don't just listen, like study them, and then also apply it based on where you're at. Don't listen to the hype and go for it just because X says so. Is who am I? Where am I right now financially? What am I trying to accomplish? What are my goals? This advice align with everything. What is my morals? What is my ethics? If it doesn't align, guys, don't try to become somebody else. Just be you. I just want to be Mamadou. You know what I mean? Like there's no like,
I
come on,
love that, bro.
you
I
know?
love that. Man, you are preaching, my guy. I love it. That's amazing. And that's so absolutely true. Nobody's built the same way. Mamadou, we're brothers, but we
100%.
operate different in certain things,
100%.
right?
100%.
And so, your lifestyle is different than my lifestyle, just like
Right.
everybody else's lifestyle is different. So really, you gotta know thyself. I love that. And I'm gonna write that on the board for next week, and I'm gonna remember. Right. I'm gonna write it on my mind board here.
All
So
right.
21,000 net
You
cash flow
think
on this
somebody would
one.
get offended by that?
No,
What
I'm
you
not,
said?
but with that being said, 21,000 net cash flow, but I'm putting in 60K.
Right. Right.
So what would you do? Deal or
So
no
it's
deal?
huh? You
Deal or
put in
no
60,
deal?
you said 21 net.
Yeah.
I'm doing that all day. I'm doing this deal
All
all day.
day, every day, and twice on Sundays.
All day long. Like this less than 2 years, you get your money back. Now it's
Yeah.
pure cash flow. Like it's a no-brainer. I'll do this
Yeah.
all day.
So essentially it comes in, if you take the net cash flow divided by the 60, you're left with 35%.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
And
And
guys, listen, we're gonna create what we're gonna do based on this episode. We're probably gonna create like Q&A, not a Q&A, a Q&A type of landing page or something where you guys can go and literally put all your questions, and then we're going to turn those questions into episodes
I
specifically just
love
to
it.
answer your questions and break it down. So if there's anything here you're confused, you guys, you're like, hey guys, can you go deeper on this? Boom. Put it in the comments, and we're going to grab the comment, right, until we create the landing page. And then we're going to go and create a video to answer that question and go deeper on that topic. And yeah, guys, so
I love it. I love it. And guys, this is what this is all about. Serving. We're here to serve. All right. We're here to serve realtors. We're here to serve foreclosure homeowners. We're here to serve new investors, everybody. All right. This is what this is about. So this is a good deal. Hopefully there's nothing else that pulls up during the due diligence. But again, it's not if, but when something
yeah,
happens once you open up escrow. So you want to be able to prepare your mind that there's going to be things that pop up, and we could even have a whole episode about the things that could pop up there after escrow that
yes,
could really kind of side rail your deal. Remember, it's
yeah,
not a deal until the ink is dry on the hood.
100%, 100%.
So with that
And
being
still
said,
not a deal, by the way, guys. I've learned this the hard way. If you keep it, it's still not a deal until you pass maybe the 24 months cap
24.
with the
Yep.
deal, and nothing happens that makes you sell. Because
Yep.
trust me, if you want to become an investor, I'm not talking about a wholesaler. If you want to become an investor, be on the other side, or you're the one on the hard, you own the house, you better build some thick skin, and you
Oh,
better be risk tolerant, because otherwise, guys, I'm sorry,
I
I'm not
love
gonna
it.
say anything offensive today. I'm gonna keep,
I
but you
love
you
that.
you get my
I
point.
love that. Yeah, I get it. And that's in the multifamily world. Obviously, I'm a multifamily investor as well. Multifamily is, we use the term stabilization. So we come in, if I'm looking at a 20, 30, 40 unit building, we're coming in and we want to make sure we're stabilizing it. And yeah, it is 24
Right,
months. We're
right,
stabilizing it in 24 months so that we can increase the property value by increasing the income of the
100%,
so
100%.
I love man, there's some boom boom boom, a lot of boom
I
stuff
know,
that
right?
dropped today.
Yeah, man, we're gonna wrap this up. I know you guys ain't gonna watch this. It's been a long episode. We're probably gonna break down into 1 and 2 because this one was long. But guys, leave a comment. Let us know your takeaway. Let us know what you're confused about. If you want us to go deeper, leave a comment below. Remember, every single Thursday, we're gonna drop these episodes around like what, 6:30, yes, sir?
6:30, yeah,
Yeah, and
6:30 Eastern time.
what we actually gonna do for you guys that maybe have 9 to 5s, you cannot really go on YouTube and watch it. We're gonna actually have a Spotify account where we're gonna put the audio. You can just listen to the audio and then take it from there. And if you got any value, just share it, guys. If you come into our show, we're not doing this for likes and clicks. So please build some thick skin. We're gonna be authentic, gonna be unapologetic ourselves. We're not talking to you, we're talking through you. So never take anything personal. And if you're triggered by something, I really want you, I'm talking about the tiny crowd that uses this, okay? Not just your emotions, uses this. I want you to think before you type. Ask yourself this question, like genuinely, why am I triggered right now? Why am I emotionally triggered? I'm angry, blah, blah. I want to leave a bad comment. Why? Because maybe the feedback is I said something that is true, you've been either lazy or whatever the case may be, just go change it. That simple. And if it doesn't apply to you, and I said something that sounds to you based on, remember, everybody's biased. I'm biased. I'm biased based on my experience, my religion, my ethnicity, where I'm from, my background. I'm biased. So when I'm talking, it's always based on me, my experiences. So your reaction is based on you, your experience, and what do you think I should say. That's your fault, not my fault. That's not my problem. So if it doesn't apply to you, then why do you care?
Right.
It's just so before you type, guys, before you type, you cannot, you see these hands? If I'm okay, I'm not gonna say it. I'm just gonna leave it there. So Yasser, let's close up.
I'm gonna wrap it up with this. All right. And I'm gonna play off of that. If you feel offended, just know we are not coming after you. We're coming after the ones that are actually, we're not coming after anyone. Actually, we're here just to teach and do deals with you guys. That's literally what it comes down to. And look, I'm a New Yorker. Okay. I rock my New York hat. I'm from Brooklyn, New York. How you doing? And I'm gonna tell you right now, you know where you stand with me. It's as simple as that, and really, if you want to do business, you want to do business with people who are upfront with you and who are not this back and forth, right? I want to be consistent across the board, and that's what it comes down to. So with that being said, Boom Squad. I miss Boom Squad, man. I miss that.
Yeah, no, we're gonna do an episode on door knockings because Andrew wasn't here.
Okay.
But yeah, we're gonna schedule episodes with them for sure. Especially the ones where we're gonna call the sellers and show these people how to talk to the sellers. They'll be here with me, but Andrew is on the field right now, door knocking, guys. So it's action time. We don't take breaks. It is
love it. Love it. All right. Well, with that being said, I'm the captain, Yasser Atab, the property captain, representing the Coffee Tribe and Coffee with the Captain. We got my friend and my brother from another mother, right? Mamadou Diallo.
Yes, sir.
Representing the Boom Squad. With that being said, adios, guys.
Adios, guys. Stay bold.